Namaste everybody. In this video we will discuss about the Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter, Bhakti Yoga. In this chapter, Lord Krishna enumerates the principles of bhakti or devotion. He explains profoundly about the nature of devotion in 1 to 7 verses. The various methods of devotional practices in verses 8 to 12 and the qualities of a devotee in verses 13 to 20. Now, this chapter is called Bhakti Yoga as it guides a seeker to unite himself with the higher consciousness, which we all call commonly as God, through the path of devotion. A seeker is a person who is keen on knowing the absolute truth and experience it. People can also unite themselves with the higher consciousness through the path of action as well as the path of knowledge. Those aspects are dealt with in the chapters 3 to 6 and 13 to 18. So we will know and understand them as we learn those chapters. Now, the main aim of a human being is to know about his inner self and then align his internal energy with the external and higher energy. In this world, it appears as though we are different from the external world and our energy is different from the external energy. But we should understand that we are part of a higher energy and we are not different from it. Energy can only change a form but cannot be destroyed completely. So, knowing ourselves and aligning our energy with the higher energy is called yoga. Attaining this yoga through bhakti is Bhakti Yoga. Now, this chapter begins with a question by Arjuna. Let us look into each chapter, each shloka in detail. Now, the shloka 1. Arjuna uvacha evam satata yuktaye bhaktastvam pariyupasate ye chapyaksharam avyaktam teshanke yoga vittamaha. So first let us see each word, the meaning of each word. See, evam. Evam means thus. Why is he saying thus? See, when it is a continuation only we use this word. So this shloka or this chapter is in continuation to the 11th chapter. That I'll explain little later. So we'll look at the other words. Satata. Satata means firm and unwavering or steadfast. Yuktaha means devoted. Ye, those. Bhaktaha, devotees. Tvam, you. Pariyupasate, worship. Ye, those. Cha is a conjunction. And api, also. Aksharam, the imperishable. Avyaktam, the formless Brahman. Tesham, of them. Ke, who. Yoga vittamaha, more perfect in yoga. Now let us understand the meaning of this verse. So here Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna whether devotees who are firm and unwavering in worshipping the personal form of God or physical form of God are more perfect, or the devotees worshipping the unseen form of God are more perfect. So Arjuna is asking, why is Arjuna putting this question to Lord Krishna? In chapters 2 to 6, Lord Krishna had explained the supreme consciousness as having no physical form, as an absence of qualities related to the physical form, and as an all-pervading one. But after explaining the glories of the God to Arjuna in chapters 9, 10 and 11, he shows his universal form to Arjuna and says in the last verse of the 11th chapter that the seekers who worship his physical and manifested form are perfect devotees. So Arjuna, who understood that Sri Krishna is none other than the Supreme Lord in the physical form, is trying to get clarity as to how to worship the Lord to get closer to him. Until now, he was under the impression that God has to be worshipped in his unmanifested form. But after seeing the manifested form, he got this doubt. Now here Arjuna is mainly talking about devotees who want to seek the higher consciousness and unite with it. That is the reason he is using the word yogi. Yoga vittamaha. That means who is the perfect yogi, he is asking. It's not a mere devotee, but a devotee or a seeker who wants to unite himself with the higher consciousness. So he is clearly talking about two types of devotees who have a single goal, that is getting closer to God and attain Him. That means their paths are different, their way of worshipping the Lord are different, but their goal is same, that is attaining the Lord. But why is he calling the seekers as devotees? Because such seekers believe and understand that they are part of a larger consciousness and that they can attain the supreme goal through worshipping the Lord. Worship means focusing on the supreme reality by detaching oneself from the worldly desires and pleasures. So they bring an element of devotion to every part of their life. Devotion can also be understood as an unconditional love towards God. The attitude of we are serving God in every action is devotion. So in this verse, Arjuna is talking about two paths of worship or upasana. We should understand that upasana means not worshipping superficially, but it is an act of an inward transformation so that one can merge his or her energy completely with the supreme or the eternal energy. First type of upasana is worshipping the manifested or physical form or the saguna form. This form is called as manifested one because it can be identified by our senses. Anything recognizable by our senses is manifested to our mind. Anything manifested will have qualities or gunas. That is how we say the manifestable form as saguna form. That means we identify the Lord in a particular form with particular qualities. Worshipping Lord with a physical form is saguna upasana. Devotees doing this type of upasana fix the form of the Lord in their mind and try to focus on His form and qualities. That is how they try to imbibe the Lord's qualities and then slowly bring a transformation in themselves. Now the second type of upasana is worshipping the unmanifestable or nirguna form. That is understanding the Lord as an all-pervading and eternal energy which cannot be manifested to our senses and mind. But it is the supreme energy that is driving the entire universe. Since there is no form, any qualities associated to the physical and material form cannot be attributed to the Lord. That is why it is called nirguna form. And people who are worshipping this form, they are said to be doing the nirguna upasana. So Arjuna is using the words aksharam and avyaktam. That means which is imperishable and which cannot be manifested. Vyaktam is that which can be manifested and avyaktam is that which cannot be manifested. Now Lord Krishna responds to Arjuna's doubt in the next 19 verses. In the second verse, he discusses the essential conditions for one to become a true devotee. In verses 3 to 5, he discusses about the requisites for nirguna upasana. In verses 6 to 12, he discusses about the requisites for saguna upasana. He provides alternatives for devotees to do saguna upasana based on their mental stamina and capacity. He shows that there are no hard and fast rules for worshipping the Lord except for having a pure mind and heart and the determination to merge their energy with the supreme energy. And in the last 7 verses, that is 13 to 20 verses, he discusses about 35 qualities that a true devotee should have. Now, in the second shloka, let us see what Lord Krishna is saying. Shri Bhagavan Maya mano ye mam nityayukta upasate श्रद्धया परयोपेताः ते मे युक्ततमा मताः. So first let us understand the meanings of the words. Mayi, on me, aveshya, fixing, manaha, the mind, ye, those, mam, on me, nityayuktaha, always engaged, upasate, worship, shraddhaya, with faith, paraya, best, upetaha, endowed, te, they, me, by me, yuktatamaha, situated, highest in yoga, mataha, I consider. So Lord Krishna is saying that devotees who always fix their mind on Him in any condition and surrender to Him with utmost faith are perfect devotees. Now, Lord Krishna here is saying he considers a devotee to be the best in Bhakti Yoga if he possesses three essential conditions. So the first one is saying Mayyaveshya Mano Yemam. That means fixing the mind on Him, that is on the Lord. Here he is saying on himself because he had already proclaimed in the 11th chapter that he is the physical manifestation of the Supreme Lord. We can understand that he is praising devotees. In this verse, he is praising devotees fixing their mind on his physical form. Here, aveshya means fixing. So, how does one fix his or her mind on the Lord? That is by fixing their thoughts on Him. See, our mind represents our thoughts. Mere wandering around the concept of Lord is not sufficient, but one needs to knowingly and consciously deviate from the worldly thoughts and try to focus on the Lord and His glories. Okay, and second, he is saying Nityayukta upasate. That means worshipping Him with steadfastness, that is with self-control, unwavered mind and determination. The devotee should practice self-control to keep himself away from the worldly and material issues and focus on the Lord. It is very difficult to control the mind as it always tries to move away from the point of contemplation. But bringing it back and fixing on a particular thing is called self-control. This comes with practice. Nityayukta means having this self-control forever, not one day or not at one time. So control of the mind is the prerequisite for practicing any upasana. Third, he is saying Shraddhaya Parayopetaha. That means being endowed with utmost faith. Having just belief is not Shraddha. The term Shraddha is derived from two Sanskrit roots. Shrath means truth or faithfulness, and Dha meaning to direct one's mind towards. So Shraddha is believing in the Lord as ultimate truth, having faith and trust in Him, and directing one's mind and actions towards Him. So these three conditions are very important for a seeker to become a perfect devotee. That means he is indirectly, he is saying that He's saying that the devotees who are fixing their mind on the physical form of the Lord are the best devotees. Now, if he has declared that the seekers fixing their mind on his physical form are perfect, then what about the other seekers? So, Lord Krishna, that means the second type of seekers. Lord Krishna talks about the seekers worshipping his unseen form in the next 3 verses. So, let us see the third shloka. Ye tvaksharamanirdesyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyancha kotasthamachalam dhruvam. So let us understand the meanings of the words. Ye, who, tu, but, aksharam, the imperishable, anirdeshyam, the indefinable, avyaktam, the unmanifest, paryupasate, worship, sarvatragam, the all-pervading, achintyam, the unthinkable, cha, and Kutastham, the unchanging, Achalam, the immovable, Dhruvam, the eternal. So let us understand the meaning of this verse. So the Lord is saying, those who worship my unseen and all-pervading form are also his perfect devotees. The Lord Krishna specifies the 8 qualities of the Supreme Lord. The 8 qualities of the Lord are: Lord is imperishable, indefinable, unmanifesting, all-pervading, unthinkable, unchanging, immovable and eternal. So, devotees understanding his nature by the above qualities and worshipping him are also perfect devotees. Now, in this verse, Lord Krishna is discussing about the devotees worshipping the unmanifested form of the Lord. He says such devotees know the nature of the unmanifested form of the Lord and then meditate upon him to attain him. He is describing the nature of the Supreme Lord by specifying 8 attributes of the Lord. Let us see and know each of them. First, he is saying Aksharam. Aksharam means which is not Ksharam. See, Ksharam is that which is subject to be decayed, ruined or destroyed, or that is perishable. Any substance or a material that has a form has physical qualities, and such substances are perishable. By this definition, something that has no form and qualities and so cannot be destroyed can be called imperishable. Since by nature the Lord cannot be manifested by the sense organs, there is no form for the Lord. When there is no form, there are no qualities. So the Lord is of imperishable nature. Next he is saying Anirdeshyam. The Lord is undefinable. A thing or a person can be defined based on the perception. When a thing cannot be perceived, it cannot be defined. Since the Lord cannot be perceived, he cannot be defined or distinguished from other things or others. Next he is saying Avyaktam. Vyaktam is being manifested. Avyaktam is that which is not manifested. Lord is Avyaktam as he cannot be manifested. Next he is saying Sarvatragam. The Lord is all-pervading. Suppose the Lord is considered as being at a particular place, then he must be identified by a particular shape and specific qualities. But this is not the case. The Lord's energy is spread across the entire creation equally. That is why he is called Sarvatragam. And next he is saying about Achintyam. The Lord is Achintyam. That means he is unthinkable. A human mind cannot conceive the Lord. The Lord is beyond the feelings and thoughts of human mind. Anything that cannot be conceived by the human mind cannot become the source of feelings and thoughts. So is the Lord. He is not conceivable. That is why this word Anchintyam is used for the Lord. Next, Kutastham. Lord is unchanging. Any physical object is subject to changes and modifications. The Lord or the Supreme Consciousness remains unchanged, though several changes take place in the creation constantly. So the modifications that occur in the physical objects do not apply to the Lord. Next, Achalam. The Lord is immovable. The motion is change in time and space. Since the Lord is all-pervading, there is not a point in space or time where it is not present. The Lord is here, there and everywhere and at all times. So the Lord himself is the past, present and the future. So the concepts of motion don't apply to the Lord. So he is called Achalam. Next, Dhruvam. The Lord is eternal. That means the Supreme Consciousness is not conditioned by space and time. Anything that is conditioned by space and time are subject to change. But the Lord is unchangeable and is the controller of both time and space. So time and space cannot condition the Lord. The Supreme Consciousness is same at all places and at all times. And it is eternal. That means it was there in the past, it is and it will be there in the future. So it is at all times. That is the reason we are saying time and space cannot condition the Lord. So how to meditate upon such a Lord which cannot be seen, which cannot be defined, and which is all pervading? Lord Krishna explains this in 4th verse. Let us see the 4th verse. Sanniyamyendriyagramam sarvatra samabuddhayaha te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite rataha. Let us understand the meaning of each word. Sanniyamya, that means restraining or controlling. Indriyagramam, all the senses. Sarvatra, everywhere. Samabuddhayaha, even minded. Te, they. Prapnuvanti, attain. Mam, me. Eva, also. Sarvabhuta hite, in the welfare of all beings. Rataha, engaged. So, here he is saying devotees who control their senses and mind at all places and at all times and care about the welfare of other beings at all times are perfect devotees. Okay, so in this verse, the Lord specifies 3 requisites to worship the unseen form of the Lord. First thing is, he is saying Sanniyam Yendriya Gramam. That means restrain or control all the senses. See, we have 5 sense organs, correct? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. So we take all the things from the external world through these senses and our mind responds to them. So it is very important for a seeker to restrain all the senses to attain perfection in worshipping the nirguna form of the Lord. The sense organs are the main source of taking the external disturbances into our mind. So these disturbances form the base for desires and seeking worldly pleasures. So the desires and a want of world pleasures break up the seeker's harmonious equipoise and steady balance. So controlled senses protect the seeker from deviating from the path of devotion. Second, he is saying sarvatra samabuddhaya. Be always equanimous. In this world that is ever changing and dynamic, it is important for a seeker to remain balanced at all times and in all situations. This is possible through detaching himself from the effects of the happenings in the external world and developing an attitude of accepting the things as they come. This helps to maintain balance in every context and in every situation. So too much of any emotion is not appreciated for anybody. Emotions thoroughly disturb the mental stamina of a seeker. So by restraining the senses, we can restrain the emotions. That means we can control the mind and then control the emotions. That is how a seeker can be stable at all times. Stable in the sense with samabuddhi at all times. Third, he is saying sarva bhuta hite rataha. Always intend for the welfare of all beings. See, as the devotee doing nirguna upasana understands the sarvatragam nature of the Lord, he considers all the creatures as the manifestation of the Lord and strives for the welfare of them by serving them in his own capacity. So, after specifying the 3 requisites for nirguna upasana, Lord Krishna says the path of nirguna upasana is born with difficulties for human beings. So, let us, in the 5th shloka. So, let us see the 5th shloka. Kleshodhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukham dehavadbhiravapyate. Let us see the meaning of each word. Kleshaha, difficulties. Adhikataraha means full of. Tesham, of those. Avyakta, to the unmanifest. Asakta, attached or who desire to travel in that path. Chetasam, whose minds. Avyakta, the unmanifest. He, indeed. Gatihi, path. Dukham, exceedingly difficult. Dehavadbihi, for the embodied. avapyate is reached. So here Lord Krishna is saying worshipping the unmanifested form is very difficult for human beings. But fixing the mind on such form will help in getting closer to the God very soon. So this is the paradox. It's very difficult to worship in this form, but this is with this form of devotion you will reach the Lord very easily. So but let us see why he is saying, first of all, why he is saying it is very difficult to attain, to practice this form of devotion. See, in the verse 2, Lord Krishna mentioned about the saguna upasana, and in verses 3 and 4 he mentioned about the nirguna upasana. He says both paths are equally meritorious for attaining him. However, the nirguna path is associated with more troubles for the embodied seekers. Here he is using embodied seekers. We can understand that this path is difficult for human beings because we are all embodied. We get easily associated with something that is having a form. So for such beings, meditating upon unmanifested form is very difficult. Moreover, the rules prescribed for nirguna upasana are very tough to follow. So Lord Krishna himself is praising the saguna upasana as it helps the seekers to fix their mind easily on the form of the Lord and attain him. Lord Krishna highlights how saguna upasana can be done and the result of such upasana in 6 and 7 verses. He also specifies different methods of saguna upasana in the 8 to 12 verses. We will see them in the next 2 parts. So now we will end this here. Thank you everybody for watching this video. Thank you. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.